Hello from Tennessee. I'm going to do my follow up on have you used the AD and how that experience went. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So I'm going to go over a couple of the responses to some of the comments and then probably just ramble a little bit about my thoughts on the topic. So I did get a few comments, and some have found the experience with an AD very pleasant and have had good luck. Some think that it adds value, like extending warranties. It'll afford you sometimes to get a first look at a watch that you may have to wait a little longer on. Um, I had at least one comment that talked about it not being cost effective, and that the experience wasn't that great too as well, or you weren't able to find stuff. So I also know a few folks that are starting to experience their AD for the first time. And before I go too much further, too, I think there needs to be some clarity between authorized dealer and brick and mortar authorized dealer, right? So I think my question probably is a little bit more around the brick and mortar experience, or at least that was in my mind. But as we know, a lot of folks online, like Long Island Watch, Delray Watch is doing it now too as well, are authorized ADs. I think Teddy B's doing it. He's an authorized AD. So I think what we're seeing is I don't know, I don't want to say it's a shift in the marketplace, but for obvious reasons with the pandemic and everything else, being able to go into a brick and mortar AD has been more difficult. And so when I asked the question, I don't think I clarified on that. So certainly, I feel like probably a lot of us have used authorized dealers, especially if we bought anything through Long Island Watch. But I was more interested in the brick and mortar experience. So I'm going to start on my ramble in just a second here. So I think when you get into this hobby, there's a lot of talk about, do you buy new, do you buy used, do you use an AD, do you need to establish a relationship with an AD? And I think everybody's journey is a little bit different. And I've seen some folks that have had very good luck with authorized dealers. I don't think those connections, or I'm fairly certain those connections don't come overnight though. It's just like anything within the watch community. As you get to know folks, you build those relationships over time. So I think there has to be measured expectations as well. If you are going to a Rolex AD and for the first time, this might be a little bit too rudimentary, but I'm just going to say it anyway. But if you're going to a Rolex dealer for the first time and meeting the person for the first time, you don't have a chance of getting stuff, I don't think, in general. At least that wouldn't be my expectation going in. Now, if you establish a relationship over time, you buy some things, you chat, those sorts of things, I think those things can happen. I think you're gonna know if you connect with the person on the other side of the counter too as well. So I think I've, in my talking online to folks, I think some people have varied degrees of success with that. Folks that are in bigger cities have more options, where in that I mean they have more options, more ADs within a close proximity, so that if they don't like one, they can go to another. So that competition is probably really good. For me here in Eastern Tennessee, where I live, I don't have anybody to go to within within a 5 or 10 mile radius. I'd have to go to Atlanta or Knoxville, and then a lot of times, even in those circumstances, you're dealing with places like Jared, and obviously the jewelers that are in the malls too, which those are close by, but like K Jewelers, but your selection is extremely limited, and usually nothing that I'm super interested in, or there's very few things I'm super interested in. So when when you go to an AD, I think we have to have realistic expectations. Interesting anecdotal story here. I was traveling for business this last week, and I was in Pigeon Forge area, and there's a huge outlet mall, and I was rushing over to look at some watches. I figured there'd be some jewelers in there. I think there was a K's, but they looked like they had a good selection, and there was a Jared's again that looked like they had a pretty good selection. Unfortunately, I thought they closed at 7, and so I was like a kid in a candy store with my face against the window, as they were covering them up for the day, and I was just like, I felt like knocking on the window. It was like, will you let me in? But anyway, so I gave it a shot just to go look at some stuff, because I'm usually not in that circumstance to be able to do so. And I've never been to Jared's before, but this one in Pigeon Forge looked like it had a pretty wide selection, so I think that would have been fun to be poking around in. But anyway, so will I use an AD personally? I have, like I indicated before, Mark at Long Island Watch, buying through him. Obviously, he's an AD. I'm really not sure. It's one of those things I think about in terms of when we're dealing with more expensive stuff, about trying to try it on, but that's not always practical. So I value everybody's input into this topic, and I think it just gives me something to chew on, and obviously when I get to bigger cities, if that happens, to be able to try to experience that too as well. Last thing is, that's my dog. Hey, it's okay. So last thing that made me really start thinking about this AD experience, if you have not watched Bruce Williams' video yet about him getting his VC overseas, it is cool. Like he definitely, you can see the excitement in his eyes. He looks like a kid in a candy shop going in. So I thought that was pretty cool. And if that doesn't make you want to go to a brick and mortar AD, I don't think anything will. Well, that's it. Little follow up there, and definitely a lot of ramble, but I appreciate you all tuning in. If you like this, like, subscribe, comment, and I will be back soon with my question for the week. And as always, stay positive, make friends, enjoy the journey. I'll catch y'all next time. Bye-bye.